They called me a loser and kicked me out of Christmas, so I cut them off and watched their lives fall apart. Hi, my name is Clara. I'm 37 years old, and I live in a small, cozy town in Minnesota. But last year, something happened that made me rethink everything. It started with a simple text message, The holidays have always been my favorite time of year. I go all out, decorating my home, baking cookies for the neighborhood kids, and planning thoughtful gifts for everyone in my family. So, when I didn't receive the usual invitation to my parents' house for Christmas dinner, I thought maybe it was a mistake. I called my mom to ask about it, and what she said, "Oh, Clara," she said hesitantly, "we did. Well, Tom and I had always had a complicated relationship. He's the golden child, the one my parents always seemed to favor. I never held it against him. I figured life just worked out differently for us. While I spent years climbing the corporate ladder and building my own business, Tom got married young, had kids, and stayed close to home. I even helped him financially when times were tough. But this felt like a slap in tea. What does that even mean?" I asked. "Well," she said after a long pause, "Tom mentioned you've been so busy with work, and the kids would be a lot for you to handle." That's when I realized there was more to the story. "What did he say, Mom?" I pressed. She sighed, clearly uncomfortable. "He said Christmas is supposed to be a happy time, and, well, you've been kind of a downer lately." "A downer?" I repeated, stunned. "He didn't mean it in a bad way," she added quickly. "He just thinks you've been so focused on your business and, being single, that maybe it's bringing the mood down for everyone else." I felt like the wind had been knocked out of me. My family, the people I'd always supported, thought I was too much of a downer to be invited to Christmas. "Mom, are you serious right now?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Clara, honey, it's not personal. We just want everyone to have a good time," she said, as if that would make it better. I hung up the phone without saying goodbye. My mind was racing. I replayed every moment I'd spent supporting Tom and his family, paying off their mortgage when they were about to lose their house, buying school supplies for his kids, even funding their summer vacations when money was tight. And this is how they repaid me? The next day, I received a text from Tom. "Tom, hey, heard you talk to Mom. Hope you're not upset. Just think this is best for everyone." Me? Why? Because I'm such a downer? "Tom, it's not like that. You've got your life, and we've got ours. No hard feelings, right?" I stared at the message for a long time. No hard feelings? After everything I'd done for him and his family? Finally, I responded. "Me, you're right. I do have my life. And maybe it's time I stop interfering in yours. Let's see how that works out for you." He didn't reply, and I didn't care. For the first time in years, I spent Christmas alone. It was quiet, almost eerily so, but it gave me a lot of time to think. I realized I'd been so focused on helping my family that I'd let them take advantage of me. They didn't see me as an equal. They saw me as a bank, a safety net, someone they could rely on without ever giving anything in return. A few weeks later, Tom called me. I let it go to voicemail. "Hey, Clara, just wanted to check in. The kids miss you, and we were hoping you could help out with some of their after-school activities again. Give me a call when you can." I didn't call back. When I stopped funding Tom's lifestyle, things started to unravel for him. His wife, Lisa, reached out to me, asking if I could at least cover the kids' school tuition for the next semester. I politely declined. "Clara, please," she said, her voice desperate. "We're struggling right now, and you've always been so generous." "Lisa, I'm sorry, but I can't help this time," I said firmly. The guilt tried to creep in, but I pushed it away. Over the next few months, I heard bits and pieces about how Tom was going crazy, trying to make ends meet. He'd had to pick up a second job, and Lisa wasn't thrilled about it. They were fighting more, and their perfect little family life was falling apart. Part of me felt bad for the kids. They didn't deserve to be caught in the middle of this. But another part of me felt liberated. For the first time in years, I was putting myself first. And just when I thought things had settled down, I got an unexpected knock on my door. It was Tom. His face was red, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. "We need to talk," he said, his voice low and angry. I crossed my arms, leaning against the door frame. I'm not sure there's anything left to say. You've ruined my life, he snapped. The least you can do is fix it. I raised an eyebrow. Ruined your life? Or just stopped funding it? His jaw tightened. Don't play games with me, Clara. You've always acted like you're better than me, like I'm some charity case. But guess what? We're family. You don't get to just walk away. His words stung, but I refused to let him see it. Funny, I thought family was supposed to be about love and support, not exclusion and insults. Or have you forgotten what you said about me? Tom opened his mouth to argue, but before he could, I held up a hand. This isn't my problem anymore, I said firmly. You made it clear where I stand in this family. Now, you get to live with the consequences. And with that, I shut the door in his face. Little did I know, that confrontation was just the beginning. Tom wasn't going to let this go quietly, and what he did next would change everything. Over the next few days, I couldn't shake the feeling that Tom was up to something. He wasn't the type to back down easily, and his parting glare at my doorstep all but promised retaliation. I tried to brush it off, convincing myself that his threats were empty, but a pit of unease settled in my stomach. It didn't take long for my instincts to be proven right. One evening, while I was sipping tea and scrolling through emails, my phone buzzed. A notification from social media lit up the screen. Normally, I'd ignore it, but something about this one caught my attention. It was a post from Lisa. I opened it to find a long, dramatic rant. Some people think they're too good for family. After everything we've done for them, they turn their back on us when we need them most. Must be nice to sit on a high horse, looking down on everyone else. But don't worry, karma's coming. My blood boiled as I read the comments underneath. Friends and acquaintances were chiming in, offering sympathy, and even speculating about who the post was about. One commenter asked, "Who would do that to their own family?" Lisa replied, "Oh, you'd be surprised. Some people care more about money than relationships." I clenched my fists. It was obvious she was talking about me. Before I could decide how to respond, or whether to respond at all, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from an old high school friend. "Friend, hey Clara, saw Lisa's post. Everything okay? She seems pretty upset. Just wanted to check in." Great. Now my family drama was spilling over into my personal life. I considered confronting Lisa directly but decided against it. If she wanted to play this game, I wasn't going to stoop to her level. Instead, I focused on damage control. I called a few close friends to explain the situation and made it clear that Lisa's version of events was far from the truth. But the next day, things escalated. I arrived at my office to find one of my employees waiting for me, looking concerned. "Hey Clara, is everything okay?" she asked. I frowned. "What do you mean?" She hesitated. "Well, there's a rumor going around that you're in some kind of trouble. Financial trouble." I stared at her, stunned. "Where did you hear that?" She bit her lip. "A friend of mine follows your sister-in-law on social media. Apparently, she's been saying some things." I felt my cheeks flush with anger. Lisa was spreading lies about me, not just to mutual friends, but to the public. I spent the rest of the day trying to focus on work, but my mind kept drifting back to the situation. I knew I needed to address it, but how? If I lashed out, I'd only feed into the drama. If I stayed silent, the lies would continue to spread. When I got home that evening, there was another surprise waiting for me. A letter had been slipped under my door, the envelope addressed in familiar handwriting. It was from my parents. I tore it open and read, "Clara, we've been hearing some troubling things lately. Tom and Lisa have told us how hurt they are by your actions. We understand you've been under a lot of stress, but family should always come first. Please, let's talk and work this out before things get worse." I couldn't believe it. My parents were siding with Tom and Lisa without even bothering to hear my side of the story. That was the final straw. The next morning, I sat down and drafted an email. It wasn't just for my parents or Tom and Lisa. It was for everyone. Friends, family, coworkers, anyone who might have heard the rumors. The subject line read, "Setting the record straight." In the email, I laid out the facts. I explained how I'd supported Tom and his family for years, only to be excluded and insulted in return. I shared screenshots of text messages, receipts from the financial help I'd given them, and even snippets of conversations to back up my claims. I ended the email with a simple statement. I have always valued family, but respect goes both ways. I will not allow myself to be treated as an ATM or a scapegoat for someone else's poor decisions. If anyone has questions or concerns, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, consider this matter closed. I hit send and braced myself for the fallout. Within minutes, my phone started buzzing. Some messages were supportive, others were from family members shocked by what they'd learned. But the one response I didn't get? Anything from Tom or Lisa. For the next few weeks, I heard nothing from them. It was almost as if they'd gone radio silent, until one day, I received a court summons. Tom was suing me. And the reason? He was claiming that the financial help I'd given them over the years was a series of loans, and now he wanted the money back, with interest. I stared at the document in disbelief. Tom had always been entitled, but this was a new low. I knew I had the evidence to fight back, but as I prepared for the legal battle ahead, one question kept nagging at me. How far was Tom willing to go? And what would it cost me in the end? The court summons shook me to my core. I sat there, staring at the official-looking document, my mind racing. Tom suing me was ridiculous, but it was also dangerous. Even a frivolous lawsuit could drag on for months, drain resources, and, worst of all, give him more opportunities to spin his version of the story. I wasn't about to let that happen. The next morning, I called my lawyer, Jennifer. She'd helped me with contracts for my business before, but this was a different beast entirely. When I explained the situation, she sighed. Clara, this is petty, but it's not uncommon. People like your brother see legal threats as leverage. Don't worry, though. We'll shut this down quickly. Jennifer's calm confidence gave me a sliver of hope. We went over the so-called evidence Tom had submitted with the lawsuit. It was laughable. Screenshots of casual messages like, "Thanks for the help, sis," and vague statements like, "We'll pay you back someday, promise," were the backbone of his claim. He doesn't have a leg to stand on, Jennifer said, shaking her head. But we'll need to be thorough. If this gets in front of a judge, we'll want everything documented. So, I got to work. I spent hours digging through years of emails, text messages, and bank statements, gathering proof that the money I'd given Tom and Lisa was a gift, not a loan. Each piece of evidence felt like a small victory, a reminder that, despite their lies, the truth was on my side. But while I was busy preparing for the legal battle, Tom was escalating his campaign against me. A week after I received the summons, a mutual friend sent me a screenshot of another post from Lisa. This one was even more inflammatory. Imagine being so bitter and selfish that you sue your own family just because they asked for help. Some people really are heartless. The comments were brutal. People I hadn't spoken to in years were weighing in, calling me greedy, cold, and worse. I wanted to scream. How could they twist the story so completely? Jennifer's advice was clear. Stay quiet on social media. Responding will only fuel the fire. But it was hard. Every day, I saw more posts, more comments, more people taking sides. My reputation was being dragged through the mud, and there was nothing I could do about it. At least, not yet. The first court hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks later. By then, I'd built an airtight case, and Jennifer was confident we'd win. But just days before the hearing, something unexpected happened. A private investigator showed up at my office. He introduced himself as Mark and said he'd been hired by an anonymous client to look into my finances. "It's routine," he said with a practiced smile. "Nothing to worry about." I didn't believe him for a second. After he left, I called Jennifer again. She agreed that the timing was suspicious. "It sounds like Tom's trying to dig up dirt on you," she said. "But if he's resorting to this, it means he's desperate. Stay calm, and don't give him anything to work with." Despite her reassurance, the investigator's visit left me shaken. What if Tom found a way to twist something innocent into ammunition against me? The day of the hearing arrived, and I walked into the courtroom with Jennifer by my side. Tom was there, too, flanked by a lawyer who looked more annoyed than invested. The judge listened patiently as both sides presented their arguments. Jennifer was articulate and thorough, dismantling Tom's claims piece by piece. By the time she finished, it was clear there was no case to answer. The judge dismissed the lawsuit, and I felt a wave of relief. But Tom wasn't done yet. As we left the courtroom, he approached me in the hallway. His face was red with anger, and his voice was low but venomous. "You think this is over?" he hissed. "You've humiliated me. You'll regret this." Jennifer stepped between us, her tone sharp. "If you threaten my client again, we'll be filing charges." Tom backed off, but his glare stayed with me long after he was gone. I thought winning in court would end the drama, but it only seemed to make things worse. Over the next few weeks, the online attacks intensified. Lisa posted a long, tearful video claiming that I'd ruined their lives. My parents left voicemails begging me to make amends. Even people I barely knew started reaching out, asking for my side of the story. It was exhausting. One evening, as I was going through my inbox, I noticed an email from an unfamiliar address. The subject line read, "Something you should know." Curious and a little apprehensive, I opened it. The email was short and to the point. "Hi, Clara. You don't know me, but I thought you should see this." Attached are screenshots of messages between Lisa and a friend of mine. "They're plotting to spread more lies about you, and it's worse than you think. Be careful." I opened the attachment and felt my stomach drop. The screenshots were damning. In the messages, Lisa was laughing about how gullible people were and discussing plans to fabricate even more dramatic accusations against me. One message stood out. "If we can't get her to cave, maybe we'll leak something to the press. That'll shut her up." I stared at the screen, a mix of anger and disbelief coursing through me. This wasn't just petty family drama anymore. It was a full-blown attack, and I wasn't going to let them win. The screenshots in that email were a game-changer. For the first time since this nightmare began, I had proof, irrefutable evidence that Lisa and Tom weren't just spiteful but actively scheming to ruin me. But how I used that information would determine everything. I forwarded the screenshots to Jennifer immediately. Her response came back in under an hour. "Clara, this is big. We can take legal action for defamation and harassment, but let's tread carefully. If we escalate too quickly, it could backfire in the court of public opinion. Call me when you're ready to discuss strategy." Court of public opinion. That phrase stuck with me. While I trusted Jennifer to handle the legal side, I realized I needed to fight back in a way that people would understand. Tom and Lisa had weaponized social media to turn people against me, so maybe it was time to use their own tools against them. But first, I needed to confirm the email was legitimate. I reached out to the anonymous sender, keeping my tone neutral. "Hi, thank you for reaching out. Can you tell me more about how you got these messages? I'd like to verify their authenticity before taking any action." The response came quickly. "Of course. My friend is in Lisa's circle and shared these with me because they couldn't stand watching her lie anymore. I can put you in touch with them if you want more details." That was enough for me. I sent the screenshots to a trusted tech-savvy friend, asking them to verify the metadata and timestamps. 2 days later, they confirmed. The screenshots were genuine. Now, I had a choice. Jennifer urged caution, suggesting we file a defamation suit immediately. But I knew that would take time, and I couldn't afford to let Lisa and Tom keep spreading lies unchecked. Instead, I decided to take control of the narrative. That weekend, I sat down and recorded a video. It wasn't something I'd ever done before. I wasn't the type to post personal dramas online. But this wasn't just about me anymore. I kept the tone calm and factual as I laid out the situation. I talked about the years of financial support I'd given my family, the lawsuit, and the online harassment. Then, I addressed the screenshots. Recently, someone reached out to me with evidence that Lisa and Tom have been plotting to destroy my reputation. I debated whether to share this publicly, but I think it's important to set the record straight. Here's what they've been saying behind the scenes. I displayed the screenshots, walking viewers through the messages step by step. "This has been one of the hardest times in my life," I concluded, "but I refuse to let lies define me. To everyone who's supported me quietly or publicly, thank you. And to those who've judged me without knowing the full story, I hope this sheds some light on the truth." It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. After posting the video, I turned off my phone and went for a walk, trying to calm my nerves. By the time I got back, the video had already started to gain traction. The fallout was immediate. Within hours, my inbox was flooded with messages, some apologetic, some supportive, and some angry. The video was shared widely, and soon, other people began coming forward with their own stories about Tom and Lisa. One former friend of Lisa's messaged me privately. "I'm so glad you spoke up. Lisa's been like this for years, manipulating people and playing the victim. I've kept quiet because I didn't want to deal with the drama, but if you need me to back you up, I will." Even more surprising, a distant relative reached out with similar stories about Tom borrowing money and never paying it back. The tide was turning, but not everyone was convinced. Lisa posted another tearful video, calling my post an attack on her family. Tom doubled down, claiming the screenshots were fake and accusing me of dragging private family matters into the public eye. I expected their die-hard supporters to stick by them, but what I didn't expect was for people in their own circle to start questioning them. A week after posting my video, I got another email from the anonymous sender. This time, it was a recording. The audio was scratchy, but clear enough to hear Lisa's voice. She was laughing, saying something like, "Oh, Clara thinks she's won? Please. We've got more dirt on her. Just wait. It's going to blow up in her face." I couldn't believe my luck. This was the final nail in the coffin. Jennifer and I decided to file a formal defamation lawsuit against both Tom and Lisa, using the new evidence to strengthen our case. But before we could serve them, something unexpected happened. Tom showed up at my office. I was sitting at my desk when the receptionist called, sounding nervous. "Clara, there's a man here who says he's your brother. Should I call security?" I hesitated. Part of me wanted to tell her to send him away, but curiosity got the better of me. "Let him in," I said, bracing myself. Tom walked in, looking disheveled and desperate. "Clara," he started, his voice uncharacteristically quiet. "We need to talk." Tom stood in front of me, looking like a shadow of the confident, brash person I'd grown up with. His hair was disheveled, and there were dark circles under his eyes. Whatever had brought him here, it was clear he was desperate. I crossed my arms and leaned back in my chair. "You've got 5 minutes, Tom. Say what you came to say." He hesitated, shifting awkwardly before blurting out, "I messed up, Clara. Lisa and I. Everything's spiraling out of control. The video, the messages, the lawsuit. I can't take it anymore." I raised an eyebrow, unconvinced. "And whose fault is that?" He flinched but didn't argue. "Look, I know I've been a jerk. Lisa and I, we were angry. We thought you were trying to humiliate us by pulling your support. But I swear, we didn't think it would go this far." I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. "Didn't think it would go this far? Tom, you called me a loser. You spread lies about me. You let your wife turn half the family against me. What exactly did you think would happen?" He looked down at the floor, his hands trembling. "I didn't think. I was stupid. I let Lisa get in my head. She said we had to fight back, that if we didn't, you'd ruin us. But now I've lost everything. People are pulling their kids out of the daycare. Lisa's friends are turning on her. And the lawsuit. Clara, we can't afford this." "Not my problem," I said coldly. "You made your bed, Tom. Now lie in it." For a moment, he looked like he was about to argue, but then his shoulders slumped. "I'm not here to fight. I want to fix this. Please, I'll do anything." I stared at him, trying to gauge his sincerity. Was this genuine regret, or just another attempt to manipulate me? "Anything?" I asked, my tone sharp. He nodded eagerly. "Yes, anything. Just tell me what to do." I leaned forward, my eyes locked on his. "First, you're going to admit everything. Publicly. You're going to tell the truth about the lies, the harassment, all of it. And you're going to apologize, to me, to the family, to everyone you dragged into this mess." Tom swallowed hard but nodded. "Okay, I can do that." "Second," I continued, "you're going to pay back every penny you and Lisa borrowed from me. Every single penny." His face fell. "Clara, No excuses," I interrupted. "Figure it out." He hesitated, but eventually he nodded again. "And third," I said, my voice firm, "you're going to stay out of my life unless I say otherwise. No more phone calls, no more emails, no more surprise visits. Do you understand?" He opened his mouth to protest, but seemed to think better of it. I understand. I leaned back, crossing my arms again. Good. Now get out of my office. Over the next few weeks, Tom followed through on his promises. He posted a public apology on social media, confessing to everything he and Lisa had done. It didn't repair all the damage, but it was a start. Lisa, predictably, didn't take it well. She released another tearful video, accusing Tom of betraying her and claiming she was the real victim. But this time, her audience wasn't buying it. The daycare's enrollment plummeted, and Lisa's reputation was in shambles. As for Tom, he started making small payments toward the money he owed me. It would take years to pay it all back, but I didn't care. The important thing was that he was finally taking responsibility. Months later, life started to feel normal again. The lawsuit was resolved in my favor, and I used the settlement to cover my legal fees and donate to a local charity. I stayed in touch with a few family members, but I kept my distance from most of them. One day, I got an email from Jennifer. Clara, I thought you'd want to know. Lisa's daycare officially closed last week. Looks like she's moving out of state. Tom, on the other hand, seems to be trying to turn over a new leaf. He's been volunteering at a community center and staying out of trouble. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I stared at the email, wondering if I should feel satisfied or sad. In the end, I felt neither. I just felt free, because for the first time in years, my life was mine again, and that was all I ever wanted.